What if we told you that a 28-year-old chubby, slow, and unathletic center is the league's best player and is undoubtedly on his way to the Basketball Hall of Fame?
Jokic backs up for the win! Yes!
Nikola Jokic doesn't look like the prototypical superstar center, but he is quite possibly the league's best player. He's won multiple MVPs and a championship while making other centers look silly without having to jump more than a foot off the floor. He's been doing things no other center has done, and that's why he is now one of the greatest players in NBA history. So, if you don't believe us, stick around to find out why Nikola Jokic is already a Hall of Famer at 28 years old. Born in Sombor, Serbia, Jokic started playing basketball early because of his older brothers, who are both good in the sport in their own right. He grew up learning the basics of the sport while also playing point guard as a youth player for the KK Sombor. He looked unnatural because of his unusual physique for a basketball player. His chubby appearance made opposing coaches underestimate what he can do, but they all ended up getting surprised by his performance as a player who had everything a basketball player needed. Of course, while he loved basketball, he nearly quit the sport because he loved something else. Jokic loved horses more than basketball. In fact, he often volunteered and worked for nearby stables so that he could be with these majestic creatures. He ultimately returned to basketball when his father convinced him that he could buy his own stable if he succeeded as a basketball player. The rest was history. At 16 years old, he was averaging 20 points and 20 rebounds for his local club. When the owner of Mega Vizura back then saw his numbers, he wasn't impressed because he thought that Jokic was just simply bigger and more athletic than any of the other players in his area. But when he heard that this young center couldn't outjump or outrun anyone on the floor, he immediately offered Jokic a contract without even getting a chance to watch him play. Jokic initially struggled during his time with Mega Vizura because he was overweight. He struggled with his conditioning and was often gassed early in the first 10 minutes of the game. He had all the tools to be great, but he often snacked a lot during his free time, causing his body to balloon. Nemanja, Nikola's older brother, had just come back home from the US where he played college basketball with Detroit Mercy. The 6'6" forward saw firsthand how Darko Milicic, the second overall pick of the historically great 2003 NBA draft, turned into a bust because he often partied and didn't take good care of his body. Nemanja didn't want his younger brother to end up like Milicic, prompting him to convince Nikola to become more serious with his diet. Boosted by his brother's words of wisdom, Jokic worked hard on improving his body. He became one of the top young prospects in Serbia and became good enough to convince his coaches that he could make it to the NBA. During the 2014 NBA draft, he tried his hand at getting drafted into the NBA. But Jokic didn't even think that he had a chance because he didn't have the same kind of hype that other European prospects tend to have. Of course, he was the 41st pick and was drafted by the Denver Nuggets during a Taco Bell commercial. So, where was Jokic during that time? Most players who are looking to get drafted actually go to New York to witness the NBA draft in person. But Jokic probably didn't even care. He was sound asleep in Serbia during the draft because it was around 5 in the morning when his name got called. He didn't even bother to watch the draft live and celebrate with his family, and was even surprised that he got drafted. Despite getting drafted into the NBA, he waited a full season before going to America, opting to hone his talents in Serbia before heading to Denver.
Bogdanovic inside, and Jokic just waited.
He won the 2015 MVP in the Adriatic before heading stateside. But he learned the hard way that the NBA was different because he didn't have the proper conditioning to keep up with the best players in the world. He had polished skills, but just wasn't the same kind of athlete as his American counterparts were. Ultimately, he did shed some weight during his rookie season and went on to have a productive year. But the problem was that he had to share minutes with his fellow Balkan center. Jusuf Nurkic showed promise during his rookie season a year ago because of his imposing size. In the end, the Nuggets chose to keep Jokic by trading Nurkic to Portland. Jokic got inserted into the starting lineup and has never come off the bench since his third season in the league. But it wasn't until the 2018-19 season that he finally received an All-Star nod after averaging around 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Jokic in the lane, put it up.
At that point in his career, he had already become the best passing center in the NBA and was often impressing coaches and analysts alike with his incredible court vision. The secret was that he was playing point center during his younger years in Serbia. When he got to Mega, the late Dejan Milojevic, who was his coach back then, urged him to be confident enough to handle the ball down the floor and make plays like a point guard. Jokic brought that same style to the NBA, and opposing teams didn't know what to expect from a slow-moving 7-foot big man who could carry the ball up the floor and make no-look passes to his teammates. The best part was that while he was putting up great numbers in the regular season, he often elevated his game during the playoffs. In 2019, he averaged 25.1 points, 13 rebounds, and 8.4 assists in his first playoff run.
Gary Harris gives it back to Jokic, and he's got it with the runner.
The bubble playoffs in 2020 were the real revelation of Jokic's MVP-level play when he helped the Nuggets get all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Jokic averaged consistent numbers of 24 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists. His game reached another level just a few months after the bubble playoffs. By the end of the 2020-21 season, he averaged more than 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists to win his first NBA MVP. People thought that he had already peaked when he won the MVP in 2021, but he took his game to an entirely new level during the 2021-22 season by averaging 27 points and nearly 14 rebounds and 8 assists. He ended that season with the highest player efficiency rating in league history. For those who don't know, PER is the best measure of a player's overall efficiency. Jokic, who won the MVP twice in a row in 2022, edged out Wilt Chamberlain's PER during the season where he averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds. People were rooting for Jokic to win his third straight MVP in 2023 when he was nearly averaging a triple-double while shooting an ungodly 63.2% clip from the floor. He was leading the Nuggets to the first seed in the West, and his numbers were certainly deserving of the MVP once more. But the award went to Joel Embiid. But Jokic entered the playoffs not thinking about whether or not he should have won the MVP.
10 out of 3, and here's the zone for Golden State.
Instead, he went for the NBA championship. The Nuggets lost only a total of 4 times during the entire 2023 playoffs, with Jokic averaging ridiculous numbers of 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 9.5 assists. He was simply unguardable and uncontainable. If you don't believe us, just ask Anthony Davis in this play. And here's another one. Those plays were simply some of the few moments when Jokic did something incredible for someone who doesn't look like he should be the best player in the league. But he's done things so effortlessly on his way to his first NBA championship in 2023. After winning the title, he didn't even look like he was entirely happy about it because he wanted to get back to Serbia to his first true love, his horses. It's like he's a guy who treats the NBA as a regular 9-to-5 job that he doesn't love but excels at. He spent more time partying and tending to his horses during the 2023 offseason, but for some reason, he's just unstoppable. The trend continued during the 2023-24 season, where he's been putting up MVP numbers once more while barely missing any games.
Jokic on the steal, lobbing it up. There's the triple-double.
Jokic is simply unfair, and teams don't know how he's doing what he's been doing without being athletic. It's like the basketball gods gave him everything a basketball player needed when they were creating him. But when they realized that he was too perfect, they gave him the athleticism and mobility of a 50-year-old man to make up for everything else. You could just imagine the kind of damage he would be capable of if he had the natural gifts of a Joel Embiid or a Shaquille O'Neal. Everything starts with his passing. His unique court vision and incredible passing skills give him an automatic edge because he can see plays before they develop. He understands where his teammates need to be and what he has to do to give them openings. LeBron James, one of the best passers in league history, once said that Jokic is so great at passing the ball that he can see plays before they happen. It's not just about passing the ball for him. Instead, it's more about his high basketball IQ and next-level understanding of how to attack defenses through his playmaking. When a player is so darn good at passing the ball, teams are reluctant to double him. So when he knows that help defense probably won't come, Jokic scores efficient baskets close to the rim. Unlike other centers who excel at posting up, he doesn't use his quickness and athleticism to get the best shots possible.
Shot is second tonight.
For him, it's more of a matter of using his weight, footwork, and skilled hands to score efficient baskets. Jokic is also a threat from anywhere on the floor because he can hit jump shots using a high release that he can shoot against any defense. His trademark Sombor shuffle is like a lazier version of Dirk Nowitzki's one-legged jump shot, but it's just as effective as the real thing and has been one of his signature moves. And let's not even forget about his rebounding. He's been able to rebound the ball at a crazy rate despite not having the athleticism and mobility of some of the best rebounders in the league. He just knows how and where to position himself for a rebound because his basketball IQ is off the charts. Critics can't even attack his defense. Sure, he doesn't block a lot of shots and isn't the best at protecting the rim because he doesn't jump high, but Jokic uses his high basketball IQ to disrupt plays with deflections.
8 seconds. Porter down the lane.
It's no surprise that he averages more steals than blocks. The scariest part is that Jokic has a game that should age gracefully. The fact that he relies more on skill than athleticism is the reason why he's going to have a long career if he wants to. Right now, with multiple MVPs, a championship, and several All-Star and All-NBA selections, Nikola Jokic is already a lock for the Hall of Fame, even if he decides to retire next year to spend more time with his horses. He's still just 29, but he's already compiled numbers and accolades that are going to blow anyone's mind. He's arguably the best player in the NBA right now, but does Jokic have what it takes to be the GOAT? That's a tough call because there are plenty of future GOAT candidates right now. All we can say is that he probably won't care about where he stands in the history of the league as long as he gets to retire in peace and spend more time in the stables than on a basketball court.